In the year 600 CE, the holy city of Jerusalem was taken by Seljuk Turks, more modernly known as Muslims. These conquerors closed off the city to Christian and Jewish people, only allowing them to enter for religious pilgrimages. The land of Jerusalem had formerly belonged to the Byzantine Empire, who tried to take it back and had their army destroyed. The emperor called to the Christian leader, Pope Urban II, for help. The result of this call was a series of crusades spanning from 1096 to 1291, in which Muslims and Christians fought back and forth, each trying to claim the holy city for their own faith. But what happened in the First Crusade? What caused everyday Christian people to go off and fight strangers? What were the outcomes of this First Crusade?
Before the First Crusade, Muslims occupied the Jerusalem, and they did a lot of bad things there. They destroyed their home, they burned the church, they killed people without any sympathy. When the Crusader came to outside of Jerusalem, they saw a rural landscape full of poverty and lack of food and water. Not only were they surprised at the sacred landscape, they were also at risk of being attacked by the ruler of Fatimid. Fatimid dynasty was a political and religious dynasty that dominated an empire in Middle East from AD 909 to 1171. Many people in the crusade charged and were tired. They eventually cried after seeing their holy land.
Pope Urban II gave a speech to Christians for fighting Muslims and took Jerusalem back. His speech was so inciting that made people join his army of the Crusade. The spiritual reward from God, which was the remission of the sins, tempted Christians fighting. In the First Crusade, Pope Urban was the first person who asserted the idea of conquering Jerusalem, and, therefore, he was one of the most important leaders in the First Crusade.
In 1096, after Pope Urban's speech, armed Christian crusaders gathered in Constantinople to prepare and set off for the Holy Land. As the crusaders fought their way through to Jerusalem, they laid siege to the Muslim city of Antioch. For months, they berated the city, and in 1098, some French crusaders fled the siege after receiving news of reinforcements from Mosul. In 1098, later that year, under the lead of Bohemond I, the Crusades finally captured and took control of the city of Antioch. However, later that year, the Emir of Mosul then laid siege to the city. The Crusaders then declared victory at Orontes, forcing the Emir to lift the siege. In 1095, the Crusaders then left Antioch and finally climbed the walls of Jerusalem and took control of the city. At the same time as Pope Urban was summoning his forces at Constantinople, Peter the Hermit, an ordinary civilian, gathered together many thousands of people, mostly unarmed, to join in the People's Crusade. The army consisted of mostly peasants, with no experience in fighting, let alone war. Later that year, Emperor Alexius I sent the People's Crusade over to Bosphorus, but by October, the People's Crusade had been completely annihilated at Anatolia by the Turks.
The First Crusade had several effects on the city of Jerusalem. The city's political and religious system switched to Christianity when the Crusaders took over. The War of the First Crusade improved business for blacksmiths and other weaponry makers, and then for construction workers when the rebuilding of churches and other buildings was needed. The impact of the First Crusade would leave its mark on artwork, pottery, and stories for years to come. The results of the First Crusade would impact history and lead into wars to come.
It is obvious that Christians won the battle and got their holy land where they desired to go. Was the conflict avoidable? Well, because of Jerusalem, Christians had to fight and took it back with everything they had. Thus, they sacrificed 425,000 people on their way. It's not necessarily avoidable, but Christians lost a lot where they conquered the place. So, mathematically, no one gained anything or lose anything, but spiritually, Christians won.